All right, folks, welcome to what will be the conclusion of the third rounds in our 5-round group stage in Group B. We saw in the previous two sets how Group B's been shaping up, and there's some opportunity for Miguel to take advantage of here today. There's also some opportunity for ACCM to take advantage and maybe even get to first place. As things stand, we've got 6 wins for Dogao and 6 wins for Veleza, who are currently tied for first and second. Then we have ACCM with 4 wins below him. That could obviously change here. There's then Margugu, who's got 3. There's then Draken, who's got... Wait. Shoot. What is it, guys? Someone tell me. I'm so sorry. Draken was at 1. He got 2 wins. Yeah. Draken's also at 3. And then Miguel sits down at 1. So conceivably, if ACCM wins here today, he could be tied for first place, or he could be in first place if he gets a 3-0. And then Miguel could pass Draken, could pass Margugu if he gets a 3-0, or could tie them with a 2-1. Margugu's 4 and it's Draken 3. Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you. Sorry. I thought I had it when I started the whole convo and didn't get there. Now, here's what I consider to be the issue for Miguel, okay? Having spoken to Miguel, knowing Miguel, he's just playing the game way less than ever. He's definitely in a spot where it just doesn't feel like it's all clicking for him, okay? And I think motivation's low, and motivation's probably low having lost the first 2 rounds and not brought his A game, right? Because if you don't bring your A game, it can sometimes affect you. Having said all that, the positive for Miguel is the maps in this series pretty good for a player who might not have prepared as much or might be out of shape. You've got this map, which is Migration, which has been around a really long time. So, that hasn't changed too much. There are some things I'll talk about, but still. And then we have Lands Madness and Graveyards as the other maps, which is basically Arabia Light. So, I consider that to be a positive. If ACCM would have drafted another map, like a map that maybe Miguel hasn't played much of, or isn't as similar to Arabia, I would think worse things for Miguel. But Miguel, in his day, consistently top 20, top 30. Actually, since Titans League's been introduced, he's always been in Platinum. So he's just ended up in 4th place every single season. And it feels like it's the same old story. Like, the last 2 weeks, oh my god, is Miguel going to survive? And then he barely survives. So my prediction here before the season was 3-0 for ACCM, because ACCM had 13 wins in the previous season and 2 losses. However, coming to this point, ACCM is 4 wins and 2 losses. So he has already equaled his loss amount that he had in Season 2 here in Season 3. But I think ACCM is definitely the favorite. The thing that ACCM will also maybe know, specifically for Migration, is the build-up and the meta that players have been doing recently with the Dravidians and the Japanese. And that is including the barracks and the stable in the middle. Whereas in the past, it was oftentimes just heavy water focus, and we didn't see as much of the scout play towards the middle here. Naval plus elephant units for ACCM. I don't see a chance here for Miguel. GG. Well, if that's the way the game worked, it would be a very boring game. I'll tell you what, if we see a single elephant in this game, I will... I don't want to say something. I will do a cartwheel later. I haven't tried a cartwheel since I was 12. I'd probably fail miserably and injure myself. I don't think we're going to see elephants here. I'd be very surprised. Okay, so look at the timing from ACCM. Needs a house, right? But ready, boom, gets the dock up just in time. That's satisfying. Dravidian bonus for you right there. So there's that, and then the Dravidians also get the additional wood when arriving to Feudal and arriving to Castle. Like the island layouts, there's really not much more for me to talk about. Miguel is going for double dock fish boom, which is what other players have done. And normally around 10 fishing ships, I'd say minimum, before players will go fast castle. They have plenty of fish out here. Good map probably to ease their way into the tournament set as far as nerves go as well. You can tell Miguel maybe even considering another dock, which isn't that unheard of. But just notable that he might be considering this right now. Don't say anything, T90. You still have yet to skydive with the mustache. I'm getting there. All right, I'm getting there. Miguel is currently housed. Oh, no, he's got the house on the way. It's not that big a deal. Adds the third dock. And it's just tons of fish for both of them. And again, the meta has evolved into this because it takes so long to get ships over to the enemy. By the time you get over there, it feels like they're going to be able to defend, even if they produce much later than you. So players kind of did away with the feudal age aggression and more so think about going for castle age aggression. Okay, so I think ACCM will go for the barracks. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's meta, of course, and that's what everyone's been doing, but not everyone's doing it for that reason. I know he's doing it because of when his transport ship's coming out. I think he wants to build his barracks here, which is why he would transport now. Right? Because otherwise, I think if the transport's late, you could maybe build the barracks here. But he figures there's no sense in having the barracks at home. That does nothing for me. The barracks would be helpful in the middle. Yeah, this is really smart. I think that's what we're going to see. Let's see if I'm correct. Oh, no, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing that for? Okay, well, I feel like if you're going to have the villas here, you probably should just make the barracks in the middle. But ACCM didn't want to do it. Didn't want to make me look smart. That's all good, dude. That's all good. I needed the help today, but I'll take it anyways. Holy fishing ships for Miguel. He's going to go up to 17? That's wild. The food eco will definitely be there for him. And the wood savings is really the biggest deal here. But notice how there's no barracks for him. He's probably just going to go blacksmith, market, and navy. This is the new build. This is why I think Dravidians are #1. The fact that you can afford to go for the market, blacksmith, navy, the ships, like 120 wood on the transport ship, 175 wood on the barracks, 175 wood in the stable, 175 wood on the market. All this stuff's so expensive. And the ships. I don't even know what 2 fire galleys cost as far as wood. It's the Dravidians, man. Oh, no loom. Miguel's scout could find a kill here. That's a really nice find. That is a really nice find for Miguel. As his as his villagers just wandering out across the map, I think trying to dock the opponent's side here. And Miguel hoping to quick wall and loses the vill because he didn't have loom. But, okay, there's clearly a lack of prep here in terms of how this series is... Or, sorry, this tournament has played out. We're seeing it already, right? This is why I brought it all up. ACCM knows this is what people are doing now. This is why it works. It makes a lot of sense. Miguel just thought, we're going navy, and I want to kill his fish, so I'll just walk across the middle and hope to get lucky. Not really feeling that great about Miguel's situation now. Just because of his approach, it's going to be awkward from here. For him to be able to find a safe area on land will be difficult. Now ACCM is using the only villager he has here, in all fairness, to drop a dock on the front of Miguel and try and kill Miguel's fishing ships. The fire galley needs to back away for ACCM. Dogal is going to go to this, or not Dogal, sorry, Miguel. Going to go to this tiny little peninsula. And he's going to just make another dock for the time being. It would be a huge save for ACCM if he could save this ship. I think you sacrifice this fire to kill this fire if you can. Let's see if it bumps along the dock for a second. Oh, God. Okay, he got it. He gets it. Now, ACCM's queued up War Galley in this dock, which I have to assume was unintentional, but it could lose it, actually. He does hit the next stage faster. ACCM with full map coverage, full vision in the middle. Doesn't see that there were villagers there for Miguel. A couple fires headed this way for ACCM. Will complete the War Galley upgrade. Currently has just as many ships as Miguel. The difference, though, is obviously he's got the scouts out on the field. And he knows there has to be villagers here because that's the only way this dock would have ever been built. And he shows up. Miguel still doesn't have loom. And Miguel, what are we doing here, buddy? What are we doing? You lost villagers before. I mean, it's really nice play from ACCM to find it because it was in a sneaky little spot, but barracks very late and villagers not walled in and not even loomed. And I think Miguel probably just, if he came into this lacking belief, which I think he probably was, I think that this is not helping him feel like this game is going to go according to plan right now. Is this even light cap for ACCM? TC's now in the middle, starting to think about relics. Still a lot going on water, though, and the 17 or 16 fishing ships for Miguel is a big positive. He still has them working, and he's got tons of food in the bank. The problem is, it's like, eventually the fish is going to run dry, and you need to have land control. So that's why this is important for Miguel. There's so much going on. There's fights on water over here. There's fights on water here. And now the light caps show up again, and we do have loom. Awkward spot to be a villager. What a great find from ACCM. He is just so on it, dude. He's paying attention to everything. He's getting kills on water at the same time in this area. Kills the villagers again. And Miguel calls the GG. It doesn't even reach the 20-minute mark. ACCM dominates Miguel in the first game. And we saw, when I say we, I'm assuming you watched from the start of gold all the way to where we are now in platinum, which has basically been 2.5 months. We've seen this whole thing evolve, right? It turned into this, what ACCM's doing. This is the type of play that people are doing now. And I think Miguel just didn't really expect it and then found it really difficult to adapt to it once it got going. Rough way to start the series if you're Miguel. Again, if you're grasping for positives here, and he did collect a lot of resources, he just needed a barracks. Just needed to show up with spears. Like, I think he could have done the same thing as ACCM did. He just didn't think about it. He opted for fish and for navy only. But yeah, the positive for Miguel is the next 2 games aren't maps where there's a lot of, like, super creativity. Now, it's a lot of cutthroat aggression, which is what makes ACCM so special on those maps. But it's something Miguel will understand, despite not maybe being as up to speed with things. All right, friends, here we are. Welcome. We've got some Land Madness action. This is the home map for Miguel. I got to switch the colors. That makes more sense. Perfect. We've got Miguel in the blue. He's gone for the Franks. And we did fix the berries now. So the berries, double berries available. It's going to be very good for the Franks here. Miguel tried that in the previous round against Margugu. Wasn't able to get the win. Now we've got Magyars for ACCM. So expecting a lot of scouts here. Wood situation. Gold situation, all that stuff always going to be awkward here on this map. It is about lots of map control, and will Miguel's execution be there with his scout micro and with his macro in this game? I think he's got it. I think he's got a win in him here or on Graveyards. I want to just quickly look at the draft, though, because Graveyards, I think ACCM goes Aztecs, and ACCM's a beast with Aztecs. I think there, Miguel would probably go like Malians or Khmer. But I have so much faith in ACCM playing Aztecs. I would say this is probably Miguel's best opportunity. The Frankish eco's really strong with the double berries. And Miguel's playstyle as well. He loves the Scout v Scout types of games. I don't know if he's necessarily going to get that in Graveyards Game 3. ACCM, he's got 5 wins at the moment. And above him is Veleza. And then above him is Dogao. And I think he would love to be able to surpass them or at least tie them. And then I think it's ACCM Veleza in the last round. I forget. ACCM's played Draken. He's played Dogao. He will then have played Miguel. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm just talking through some of those matchups here. To be fair, in the last 2 seasons, Miguel went into beast mode to escape relegation. Yeah, it's always been a really slow start for him. The main difference from my perspective, because I'm really close to the players, is that I've spoken to Miguel, and I know things are a bit different for him motivation-wise this time. So that, you know, and that, I think it affects my cast. Like, I don't know, I'm in a bit of a weird spot. Like, I'm very close to the players in our scene. And I think it's a good thing. But I think, like, in this case, having spoken to Miguel, I just don't know, you know, if the guy's got a lot of self-belief right now. And I think that is a recipe for disaster when you're up against a highly motivated Draken and highly motivated Margugu, essentially fighting for that 4th place spot. But yeah, I think the issue for ACCM here is going to be wood. He doesn't really have any wood on the back. He's got the golds here, which is nice. Remember, you can't wall between these wood lines. This is a big old chunk of wood, but it's kind of far away for the time being. For Miguel, his berries, his golds, they're similarly exposed. I would say this gold's actually more of an issue than what this one would be. But it's land madness. It's not land wallness. It's not land perfect mapness. It's meant to be open, meant to be aggressive. And it's meant to be messy. And players, of course, these days able to take advantage of every single little tweak and opportunity. We'll see exactly what plans out here as Miguel's going to click up here. Going to go 18 pop scouts. And the Franks will have additional HP on their scouts. And the Magyars will get the forging upgrade for free. So, does anyone know if a Frank scout attacks a Magyar scout in a 1v1 in Feudal, who wins? I imagine it's probably pretty close. I'm trying to think about the math of it all here. And I think I would say the Magyars... I think the Frank Scout would still win, actually. I don't know. It's close. But where it's not close is if the Magyar player gets Bloodlines. Because then you go up to 65 HP. And Franks don't get Bloodlines. So then it's 65 against 54 HP. So I guess, like, you kind of want to be able to find that window where you have more scouts because of your eco as the Franks, and you have all the fights pre-Bloodlines are your opportunities. The Franks could research the blacksmith text themselves. Yeah, exactly. Seeing the rocks behind ACCM's base, it seems like there's a woodline that didn't register. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Could have happened. I think you don't have to look too far to see that. Land Madness is it does that sometimes. Notice the very teensy woodlines too at times, you know? But I think in terms of map fairness, it's pretty good at this point. I'm really really paying attention to this one because this is one that has given us the most problems. Just the way the map works. The stable's coming up now for Miguel. Shocker. Everyone's surprised. And then stable's going to come up here for ACCM. There's been no heavy laming. Never really happens on this map. Both players know what type of game we're going to get here. Which, again, I feel is a positive for Miguel. If Miguel hasn't been as in shape and well-practiced here. Not a big fan of 6 villagers on wood. You've got to have 8. This is going to get nasty pretty soon. But he might actually be thinking of less farms and might be thinking of an early second mill on the berries. But you see the 8 on wood for ACCM. It feels a little bit more realistic. But he's just going to wall in the 6 there for now. Yeah, okay. So that's the difference in approach. The reason for that is because he's not farming. So that's really well thought out. Now the balance makes sense. And we've got scouts. We've got spears. Every bit of HP is so important right now. And Miguel's going to get hit once and pulls away. I think he was just looking at this right here because there's a bit of red next to his berries. But both players should be walled up. You know, it's a skill element of the game to make sure you're protected everywhere. And then eventually it's about expanding out to the gold. And that would be more important for ACCM here, I feel, because he's going to want Bloodlines, which is 100 gold. I've seen players in the past, no one does it in 2023, but I've seen players in the past even just send 5 villagers to go get 10 gold and come back just for Bloodlines. Quite a few spearmen from both of them. Miguel had to keep 2 spearmen here to protect the other areas of berries. Miguel walls there. Miguel's still looking around for damage, doesn't see much. But in truth, ACCM's not really accomplished much either. Miguel didn't look great in game 1. This is more along the lines of what you'd expect from him if you followed him throughout his career. He uses all his spearmen in defense, has more spearmen, and he really seems to be paying close attention to that gold. He is actually in the midst of a fight right now, which ACCM is going to take. And ACCM scouts weren't getting hit. So they applied some damage there. And his spearman, well, it seemed the stronger of the spearman now. So it's a pretty good fight. That's just our first kill of the game. But a lot of weak pointy boys in there for Miguel at the moment. Miguel's definitely waiting for villagers to go to that gold, right? Like that, to him, is the only vulnerability in his opponent's base right now. But he did get out-microed here in the Spearman battle, and that's that Magyar forging paying off. Miguel, though, able to save the villager. Oh, she survives. Miguel needed that. AoE gods blessing him a bit. Still needs to pull off the berries. This is risky coming out here. I'm sure it's paid off in some way with the stats. I'll have to look at it once I get a moment, though. So it's actually both things. It's the berries and also it's the gold. But Miguel's not even, like, looking. Like, honestly, right here, you could find damage. He's not really trying to get damage anywhere else. It's just defense and waiting. A whole lot of patience from him. And he'll need more spears. ACCM's probably so confused. He's probably like, where is he? I tried to check his point of view. Okay, now he shows up to the gold. Like, he hasn't seen any scouts. I would be so confused. And now Miguel leaves the gold. Oh, the timing. The spearmen are getting hits everywhere. ACCM has done a better job with the kills. And now the scouts show up and they attack the mill. Now, that's more of a heads up than anything here, Miguel. I imagine he's distracted at home. And now an opportunity for ACCM to get away. And ACCM loses the Vil. That's their first Vil kill of the game. Miguel's woodline is a little disastrous right now. And that's going to be a dead Vil. Doink! So it's all tied up there. Also, lots of... Like, this does not seem like an even balanced eco right now. 18 on this tiny little woodline. Still just the original 8 for ACCM. ACCM up to 18 farms. Miguel on 14. And Miguel, it's looking pretty scrappy now. Villagers exposed. These scouts have been here. But there's been so many different areas for him to pay attention to. And now Miguel has to come home with those scouts. So he wasn't really able to keep ACCM off of the gold when ACCM wanted the gold. Look at these farms. I feel like the second berries, yes, it's helpful, but the farming is more consistent throughout the rest of the game, and then your villagers are less exposed. That's why as another villager gets sniped, it's now 4-1 eco KD for ACCM. The majority of players these days are just going to take the original berries and then go with the farms. ACCM's done a really nice job utilizing forging. The extra HP on Miguel's scouts hasn't really played a big role here. And ACCM happy to make a few more scouts as he just lures Miguel back in towards the spearman, gets a poke. And will drop a market, maybe thinking about the castle age right now. Guys, when you see this woodline, it does not inspire confidence for the long run. I take it back, because, like, the woodline for ACCM is bad, too. I guess the difference in my mind is just the fact that ACCM feels like he's in the better position. Also, how is he chopping a straggler tree? Whoa! Whoa! It's perfectly centered in the middle of the farms! Whoa! Yo! I thought it was on the farm. Dang, that's sick. There's a fight happening. Well, could happen. There's a market then for Miguel as he does go for forging now. He's got 19 farms with horse color. That's not something that ACCM can say, but ACCM clicks up. Miguel's still looking for some damage. The scouts are on the prowl for ACCM. We'll head back over towards the berries where there's currently no spearmen. And Miguel's got all this army in the middle of the map right now. But he does need to look at home, and he's got to be careful, but kills a villager with the TC fire there. A spearman rushing in on this side. Scouts rushing in on this side. Miguel's going to go for a big little surround. Big little surround? I don't know. Well, okay. Yeah, it's fine. And there's only 3 spears at home for ACCM. Wouldn't be the first time I've seen someone go up to Castle Age too early on this map and get punished for it. Miguel's scouts will dive in for the spear. The other spears are distracted right now. And Miguel takes a fight, and Miguel will find villager kills here. He's just found one. They'll bring in his own spears, and he will push ACCM off of that gold for the time being, except for that villager. That was Miguel's opportunity. ACCM just waiting maybe until some of the spears get killed off or till he's in Castle Age. He's making more scouts. He's taking engagements here. Remember, he gets Iron Casting then immediately upon arriving Castle Age. So it's more attack for the Magyars incoming. Miguel goes for another kill. The positive here is ACCM's produced a lot of scouts to stop this. And then ACCM doesn't have a ton of gold to be able to go for the knights right away. He could still make a couple knights, but this is really good damage for Miguel. Oh god, but his wood line! His wood line! What's left of the wood line? And the scouts have Iron Casting now. Yikes! The scouts go down here. ACCM will push everything away. ACCM has killed more on this wood line than Dogao did on ACCM's gold. So 8-2 KD for ACCM, who also is in Castle Age, and now he's making knights. And it just, you know, everything's felt a bit crisper for ACCM, right? I feel like the eco balance has been a bit crisper at times. The aggression was there the whole way through. The counterattacks for Miguel happened. Never really accomplished all that much, and now it's going to be tricky for Miguel. He really, like, I know that this wood line sucks. But if you don't have control, I feel like you've got to try and go this one or go this one when you have a spare moment. Now, I mean, now you don't have a spare moment. But there's, like, no tiny walling on the gold either. And I think a player like ACCM is just going to be able to pick his spots if these areas aren't, like, at least house walled, right? Like, a house here, a house here. House here, like some level of walling. There's the houses now. We've got some spearmen out. Miguel's going to start to make knights. But Miguel, ACCM's going to dive this every single time. Oh, man, this is so much pressure. The Winter goes down. Miguel, 2 stables. No armor upgrades research for ACCM, which is notable. And Lightcav go directly into the gold, though. I think ACCM almost expected that his opponent would wall that up in some way. So he never went in there originally. He thought maybe the farms was the more creative approach, but I don't know, guys. Like, I see the lack of belief at times when things start to go slightly wrong for Miguel. I just see it, right? The like weird stubbornness to not wall this up when he has the skill to. I mean, he's behind, absolutely. But, you know, you know your opponent's got Lightcav and Knights. Couple houses and some palisades is not something outside of his ability there. And, you know, also Knights would have broken through here as well. But everything going wrong for Miguel in this series. ACCM now tied with Veleza and Dogao. And if he gets the next win, he will go top of the group here, guys. And ACCM he just was aggressive the whole way through. He had the scouts, he had the spears, was pressuring. He defended a bit better. He had much better eco, despite not having any eco bonuses. He's a really solid player. There's a reason he won the group last time. There's a reason in Season 2 I was saying that he was one of my favorites to win the whole thing. Ended up losing in the playoffs. Losing in the quarterfinals to Leary 3-2. It was like a 3.5-hour series, I remember. But he's looking good. Oh, wow. These guys are really close together, so let's look at this. Graveyard's game number 3. Again, every win matters here. For Miguel right now, he is in the relegation zone. If he can snag a win here, would be huge for him. The map is Graveyards. This is the home map for ACCM. And ACCM's gone for the Aztecs. And if someone could maybe look up data on ACCM's play with Aztecs, I guarantee you his win rate is really high. He knows how to utilize this Eagle in the early game. He'll oftentimes go forward to try and steal things and lame. And his man-at-arm builds are lethal. But yeah, these guys are pretty close together by Graveyard standards. They're right next door to each other. Wood lines all around, golds all around. That's just how the map works. It will be pretty hard to wall up as well, because they are a bit further away from the edge of the map that some generations can give us. I guess ACCM's more in the standard positioning. But even still, like, these res being behind you is a little uncommon. I think that's just because of where he's positioned right now. His right corner even. Tons of relics, right? Look at all the stone and all the gold here. And yeah, ACCM's Eagle is going the wrong way because of the generation being a bit different here. So that's actually good for Miguel. Because if the Eagle were at his base right now, which it could have arrived quite quickly, could be kind of a nightmarish situation. But the Eagle's got quite a bit of vision. And ACCM just looping around. He's really bold with this scouting. A lot of people are like, oh no, I'll run into the TC. He pays attention, and then, yeah, he can dodge like that, and now he knows. And Miguel knows that ACCM knows that he's there. And Miguel knows there's a boar here, and Miguel also knows there's a boar here. Now, Miguel, you need to pull all 3 villagers sometimes onto the same tree, just so the Eagle doesn't try and go for a snipe there. ACCM is thinking about it, and he's not going to take the boar. So he did a little circle around Miguel's base. Miguel ends up bringing in the boar and also pushing in a deer. That's very nice for him, actually. But there's no real potential for you to fight this back if you have a scout, because the Eagle wins the Dark Age War. So, yeah, you just kind of have to react the whole time. And that could be a problem for any player up against ACCM. All right, so it was Season 2 where ACCM would go Man-at-Arms, force the opponent into Archers, and then he's on a combination of Eagle Skirmisher. In Castle Age, it becomes Eagle Warriors and Monks. I don't think there's a big reason to really switch away from that gameplay. We are in less of a Man-at-Army meta. So these days, you tend to see like more Militia and skipping the Man-at-Arms upgrade than anything. But I think you got to stick to your strengths here. I also think players are getting caught up in what is optimal too frequently. And like, player like ACCM, he will go for something like Man-at-Arms if he feels as though it just gives him more control over the game. I feel like Miguel's missing sheep. Am I crazy? Oh, yep, he is missing sheep, and he's going to find the sheep. So, very well, I don't want to say well played for Miguel, but it was well played to bring in his boars on time, keep an eye on the Eagle, push in a deer, and then fortunate enough, obviously, that the lame didn't happen there. ACCM is about to click up. He's not going to go for Man-at-Arms from what I'm seeing. And Fabio says, hate to bring this joke up again, but Miguel is currently 1-7. Oh, no! What are you doing? I mean, I started it. It was the very first series, the very first game for Miguel when the KD was 7-1 against him. And Miguel now is having the same problem where he's scouted and he's like, what on earth? It's actually got to be a little harder to find people on this map because there's gold everywhere. Normally you're like, oh, gold, that's their base. It's not necessarily the case. You should know that 4 tiles means their base. But, you know, 3 tiles is also associated with each player's base. And Miguel sees the house. Miguel knows the TC's probably there. He doesn't see any more stragglers, so he loops around. He now sees the villagers on gold. This is all good play for Miguel. What he doesn't see, though, is a barracks. So this will actually be straight archer play from ACCM. I'm a little surprised. Meanwhile, Dogal's going Militia, and ACCM, almost sensing it here, has gone for the walls on the front. But it wouldn't be too like crazy for it to be a Man-at-Arm war. And if you don't have your opponent scouted, the safe play is to just drop a couple palisade walls. Even in the previous game, right? Like, Miguel wasn't dropping walls when he knew his opponent was sending army forward. I think Miguel's going to forward here. He's lost 2 games. It hasn't looked pretty. He's also pre-walled some res, just in case. He's seen the berries. He's seen the gold. Miguel wants to go for it. And this is old meta, but I actually think Man-at-Arm Tower could be brilliant here. A tower right between this. Oh, man, that's a really interesting tower spot. And guys, I think this build will come back a little, or should come back a little bit more in theory, because what this does is it puts the player who's waiting for archers under pressure, and they don't have any way to stop this. They cannot engage against this, because if they engage against it, they die. Obviously, tower's going to go up for Miguel. Man-at-Arm upgrade will be in for Miguel. I like this. And what were we saying? If Miguel has something good happen for him early, he doesn't have to go through the mental gymnastics that it seems like he may struggle with today. So that's good. He's not going to like the fact he's lost HP on his scout. That's well played from ACCM. But you have 4 villagers now idled inside of this tower against the 5, and then all these villagers that can't take resources. This is huge. This is amazing play. A great job from ACCM to counter tower, though, because that would be the only realistic way of getting rid of the opponent's tower. A little interesting to me, I feel like I would have preferred Miguel garrison and hop in and out of it and try and actually keep your, like, win the tower war. Even if you don't win it, I think losing the tower immediately is problematic. And, you know, maybe if he stayed here, then all of his villagers would have died. But he did actually lose 1 villager there. And ACCM is going to take out the tower like it's nothing. There was no real fight for it. The man-at-arms left the area, so the villagers could move out. And back on berries, has some farms, back on gold, ACCM. ACCM's on archers now. But again, like, it's like when things are going wrong, how do you deal with it? I think that's what separates the best from the best. And right now, and Miguel's still applying pressure. ACCM doing a pretty good job to give himself some opportunities here. These are Malian man-at-arms, so they do have the additional Pierce armor, so it's harder for the archers to kill them. And it gives Miguel an opportunity with double range. Yeah, this is Miguel like, screw balance. This isn't going well. Let's just send it all. I like this. Man-at-arms wouldn't give any arrow fire to the tower, so putting the man-at-arms in the tower wouldn't work well. Man, ACCM's micro super good here. He's going to clean all this up. And you couldn't really keep the men-at-arms nearby because of the tower. I think what I would have preferred is stay in the tower, send 1 villager out at random times, repair it, back in the tower, that type of thing, just to hold this position. But fast army and fast fletching as a follow-up is pretty sick. And ACCM can't make a tower anywhere else now, guys. Miguel certainly lacking food income compared to ACCM because has invested his wood into fast buildings. But, you know, if he's able to snowball these fights, it could be fantastic for him. Great micro from Miguel. Miguel's looking to find more and more kills here. Both players have fletching right now, though. Scout very weak for Miguel, but could still use it against a skirmisher or as a distraction here. He's currently attacking the house, so I would say that classifies as a distraction. And again, ACCM able to defend. Yes, he was later to the upgrades, but he's able to make it happen. 7 archers on the field for Miguel, but they're not all together at the moment. There's another group I'll show you in a moment that is right here. This is where you've got to get your win, Miguel. You pulling ACCM out of position, well played. There's your villager kill. He cannot tower here. You have to commit, and you have to run directly in for that wood line with as little hesitation as possible. This is really well played. ACCM is also going to continue going forward, though. And Miguel can't tower at home. So this is going to be a bit of a base trade here. Villager down, archer down. No villagers on wood for ACCM. He is woodless. This is where he was taking wood. But, you know, Miguel, you kind of need army at home right now. And Miguel is probably expecting the army that he saw earlier to come home. I do not think he was expecting this play. Really nice play from ACCM because he's thinking, if I just react this whole game, I'll lose. So I need to take initiative somewhere. And he disrupts the gold, forces villagers to chase things down, forces army that could have gone directly to his base to instead go home. And what a fun game here, guys. But, you know, quite a bit on gold for ACCM. And ACCM has not crumbled yet. But Dogal is Miguel, God! Sorry, wrong Brazilian. Miguel has collected more resources. But Miguel is behind in the vill count right now. He's had 2 minutes of TC idle time throughout all the aggression here. And he only killed 2 villagers. ACCM has killed 4. ACCM will just complete his walls. He'll get the market up, maybe to balance that economy a bit. And this army still has not quite been dealt with. It's the combination of skirmishers that ACCM has mixed in that's been so crucial here. He doesn't know Miguel's coming in with another force, though. Dude, guys, ACCM plays with such aggression and so much struggling for the word right now. Assertiveness. Yeah, that's the word I struggled with yesterday for some reason. Like, anytime he's moving forward with an army, he's microing like his life depends on it. Did miss this, though, as Miguel takes a nice fight, pushes his opponent off of gold. This is wild. This is so messy. This game has been beautiful. And, you know, Miguel still could balance out his economy with a market. He still could maybe clear this up. He's got armies everywhere, guys. Miguel's got tons of army. He's heading to the woodline again. Can Miguel keep himself alive in TTL with the win here? He needs a win. He's shown so much quality in this game. Look, he's using his skirms versus the opponent's skirms. He's trying to micro with the archers against the eagles. He's sitting on the golds here. He forgot about this army, so that kind of hurts. He's just going to fight that off with villagers. This is just grit and determination right now. It's the skirms for ACCM that Miguel needs to find an answer to. But Miguel's got so many units. He has ACCM off of gold. He did. ACCM's over here now, and he can't afford a mining camp. If Miguel could just get to the wood line right now. You've taken him off of gold temporarily. Get to the wood line. There's so many villagers there. Just keep it moving. But how are you supposed to do everything else? Like, he's trying to chase down skirms with villagers. You're supposed to add eco. He does have another army coming this way, which could hit the gold. This is so crazy. There's so much happening right now. But again, it's like ACCM's got just enough, right? Like the skirm number and the eagle numbers, just barely enough every single time. And yet again, he goes, back, Miguel. Back. Get away. And res collected now, I mean, holy idle time. Still so close. Army count 11 for Miguel and then 7 for ACCM. But, you know, we speak of consistency. And it's the 1 minute of idle TC time versus the 3 minutes and 20 seconds that I think of here. Oh, man. And now ACCM is making a tower because he sees an even bigger army from Miguel. It's all together for Miguel. And Miguel, you've got an opportunity here to maybe deny this. But that opportunity's passed. I think the key now for Miguel is go directly to the wood. You've got a big army. Oh, God, he's run through the tower fire right into the skirms. Oh, not a good moment. Not a good moment for Miguel. Not what he wanted. He had the army. He's lost some HP. ACCM's going to pick off the weak one. No! And I don't think the game is over yet. And Miguel resigns. Like, yeah, that moment wasn't as ideal as he could have asked for. But he's going to clear up the skirm. He still has more army than his opponent. His opponent's not doing any damage to him. And I think, yet again, man, I think Miguel is, having spoken to him, I think well, at least in this game, I think he really felt like he would have had to break ACCM earlier with how messy he's played. The fact that ACCM's still alive is a big problem here. I do think ACCM in this moment was favored, but Miguel has unfortunately lacked a bit of grit and fight here in this season, which leaves him with 1 win now after 3 rounds, and ACCM gets the 3-0 to go top of the group. Yeah, he might have assumed his opponent was on the way to Castle Age, you know, and, you know, I do think long-term ACCM's Eagle Flood would start to build, and there could potentially be some problems here, but you can't tell me that this game is over right now based on what I'm seeing. I think it's still one that if you have self-belief and you really feel like every win matters, and we've got to try, if you feel that type of feeling, I think you play on a little bit longer there. But that's just been the story for Miguel, unfortunately. I think he could have maybe clicked up the castle here. We'll never know. But to the results then, I think Miguel is in big trouble. I'm not seeing the mentality that it's going to take to get wins against Veleza and, you know, get as many wins as he might need against Draken. And I also don't know if, like, I think realistically for Miguel to be safe, which would mean he'd need to be in 4th place, Margugu needs to get smacked by ACCM, which could happen. It could absolutely happen. And then Margugu would need to get smacked by Dogao, which also could happen. So he needs like ACCM and Dogao to 3-0 Margugu. And then he needs to maybe like snag 1 win versus Veleza and then win 3-0 or 2-1 versus Draken. All of it's kind of doable-ish, just really tricky because the first tiebreak is sets 1, and there's currently 0 sets 1 for Miguel. And then the second tiebreak is head-to-head, which is still to be seen. But 60% odds for ACCM sitting in first place right now to win Group B. Veleza and Dogao most likely going to be fighting over that second and third place spot. Still is potential for Margugu and for Draken, though, to shake things up and move up to second or third. And obviously, there's plenty of potential for Margugu and Draken to also end up getting relegated and falling into the 5th place position. Looks like only 4% chance for Miguel to survive now. And it's pretty wild, though, how Margugu could be 5th and relegated or 2nd into the playoffs, and there's pretty considerable chances there. 7, 6, 6, 4, and 3. Everything looking pretty close here in this group, except for Miguel, of course. And if you want to know what the matchups are, the rest of the matchups for the group are listed here. It's even shown what day we'll be covering them. Velez and Miguel will be up in a couple days. Draken Dogao will be the day after that, and then still TBD on some of the others, but just only... I guess after today, yeah, it's 6 more sets in the group. And it is now, I think, 6 more sets in all groups, actually. So I think we are officially concluded with every single round, or every single third round, and we have yet to start it for Platinum. Let me just double check that here. I think I'll use Liquipedia because it shows them all. Yep. Okay. Everyone should have 3 sets played. Everyone's got 3 sets played. Good, 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 good. Yep. Everyone's got 3 sets played.